What do you guys got?
How do you feel about your returners right now in the kick and punt game?
Uh, we have a lot of work to do. There's a lot of, at this time of year, a lot in the flux in terms of who's going to be on the team and everything like that. So you're trying to build flexibility of, okay, if the roster goes this way or that way, you have answers, and you're trying to get guys experience. So, I'd feel differently if it was the first week coming up, but we're in that process of evaluating and seeing what guys can take it from the field into from the practice field to a competitive atmosphere.
Where are you at with the rule change and deciding kind of how you're going to adapt to that at the return?
Yeah, I don't expect much to change. I think you'll see more returns and more kicks covered, but outside of that, I don't expect it to be a ton different.
Do you think the makeup of the coverage units changes all compared to what the kickoffs used to be compared to like how you would ideally want to have certain players out there? If you can go a linebacker here as opposed to a corner or something based on the makeup, or has that not changed as much?
And are you talking about specifically the body types or like the?
Body types and how guys can, maybe you don't want to cover as much ground, so you can go with a bigger guy and cover from a certain aspect, or stuff like that for the makeup of the team.
Yeah, I think last year, I think we saw that some. I don't think it changed the roster because you still have the same offensive and defensive jobs that have to get done. So I don't think it's affecting the roster as much as it's affecting certain players' ability to have a role in the kicking game. Where there's going to be bigger guys that maybe would have been precluded before that have a role. So I think that will continue in the sense that you'll see some bigger bodies, and then maybe some players that 2 years ago wouldn't have been on kickoff are now because it's a lot less demanding of a play from a linear speed perspective and exertion. So probably a little bit of both.
About that play, what was like the most surprising thing that you learned just based on what you kind of thought it might look like or play out going into it, and then how it actually did play out?
About the kickoff structure and kick return, that's an interesting question because there's a lot of stuff. It's pretty hard to say one thing. I think in general the timing and the angles and the spacing, like you get such a in football over time, you just get used to, like, okay, you throw a slant, this is exactly what it's going to look like at like virtually every level of football, the timing, where the ball goes, where the ball's caught, etc. You just get used to it. And so I think when you introduce a play that has a different structure, different starting mechanism and stuff, it's just, it's new. And so it takes a while to realize um, what that norm is of, okay, the ball that's caught here, this is where it's going to end up, this is where it's going to affect the decisions I'm making as a blocker or as a cover guy, and things like that. That's a little abstract, but it's just, you weren't used to it. So I think everyone, players, coaches, getting a feel for the timing, the angles, and the spacing. That would be my answer.
When you're getting a rookie like ready to potentially return punts, what do you tell them about like what is the biggest difference between aside from just the players you're going up against, but like returning punts in college versus the NFL? Do the hashes really change things for the return?
There's a lot that's different. Obviously the quality of punting is probably the biggest thing, just in terms of the height and the distance of the punts. But in a way, that's a good thing because it is probably a little more predictable. There's punters that have tougher balls to catch, but in college you can get 1 week a 58-yarder, and then the next punt could be 32, and then it's rugby and crossfield. So the punters are the distance, the hang, and some of the trickiness that the punters have is probably the biggest difference. But um, overall, them being able to, they're just more consistent. So the returners are able to have some comfort and, like, this guy can hit these crazy punts, but it's you see it week in and week out, and it's you're able to prepare better for that than maybe in college where it's more erratic.
Do you think the onside kick will be more of a factor this year with the change they made there?
That's really tough to say. Maybe, yeah, probably. Um, but it's like you're talking about such a small. The intent is for it to be an incremental change. So what does that mean? It means, maybe your favorite team gets one more than they did the previous year, and that happens to two or three teams, and that would be it. So I don't think that's going to be like noticeable league wide, but that still might, those two or three plays might check the box of, hey, this worked. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
Jay, when you're in a period like this where it's all about evaluation, when there's offense versus defense going on, as a special teams coach, are there certain things that you prioritize when you're watching offense and defense in terms of thinking from the special teams lens?
Yeah, it's a cool question. I would say if I'm not with the specialist, just watching the guys in their their day job, so to speak, and seeing what things they're asked to do that would translate. Guys making a certain block on offense at tight end or at receiver, and hey, that's the same as on this kick return or whatever. And trying to create that carryover where they're like, oh yeah, I see that. And as a player, it's like, okay, well when I'm doing special team stuff, I'm not just working on punt return or kick return. I'm also getting better for offense and vice versa, learning the game of football. So looking for things that translate, looking for maybe a particular movement that a guy might make where it's triggers something in your mind of, hey, we could have this guy, do this punt rush or play this position on kickoff, that kind of thing. I don't know if that answers the question, but
In terms of kickoffs and kick returns, how important is communication, and what have you seen on the communication side so far?
could you clarify a little bit? Like you said, communication on kickoff and kick return.
Just knowing what to do at the right time.
Yeah, so definitely more for kick return, way more applicable. Kickoff, not so much. There could be things that could come up specific, like game plan wise or something. But kick return, the big thing that you'll see is, especially with the new format, is okay. Guys want to try and kick balls that are lower, try to get them to hit the ground. That happened to us in the game, and it's a situation where the play is beginning, and maybe the guys that are blocking aren't sure which returner is catching it. Some teams will check and say, hey, if this guy catches it, we're going to run it that way. If this guy catches it over here, we'll go that way. Okay, well, the ball hit the ground. What's going to happen? So you got to have clean rules that are simple so that guys can, when things are happening fast and it's loud and you're tired, you know exactly what to do. And so I guess in a way, being prepared enough that you can maybe avoid communication sometimes because we know exactly what's happening already.
Okay, what kind of presence is Eric Saubert for special teams? Haven't done it year over year in this league.
Yeah, he's a total stud, and the experience that you referenced totally shows up. He's got just a wealth of knowledge, experience of different ways of doing that, but he also has a cool humility about him of okay, how do we do it? How do we? Okay, why do we do it that way? Okay, awesome, I'm all in. Or hey, have you tried doing it this way? So he's all about the team. He's all about winning. He wants to contribute, wants to do it our way, but he also brings it as ideas, suggestions, teaches other guys kind of tricks of the trade that he's learned over time. So it's been fantastic to have him. Really, really thankful that he's here.
Have you implemented things that you
Probably. I'm really open-minded, so anything that any player has that's they're the ones out there doing it, and so they'll see things that we've never experienced, especially talking about the new kickoff. Their perspective is invaluable of what it's actually like out there, what they're seeing, what they're feeling. So a guy like that who is really football smart and he has a wealth of experience to back it up. When he says something, yeah, you'll totally consider it, and I'm sure I have. Off the top of my head, I'm not positive, but I would imagine so.
There's guys that come to this league all the time who are maybe stars in college and didn't do a lot of special teams, and they're a late round pick or whatever, and they're expected to. What's the challenge maybe getting guys up to speed who might show up for their first training camp never really playing it?
Yeah, it can be a lot. The main thing is just as long as the guys want to and they're into it, and our guys are, then it's work, but you'll get it done, no problem. Just a lot of learning of what to do in this situation, that situation. Like we were talking about before, it's all the same stuff. It's all football. You're just changing the angles, changing the amount of space, changing the timing. But it's all the same fundamentals of blocking and tackling and your near foot being in the ground on contact and being aware of the location of the ball on the field in relation to your man. All that stuff is the same. So the more the guys are into it, then they'll start seeing those parallels, relating it to things that they know. And our job is just meet them where they are and teach them, encourage them, coach them. They'll get better. And once they have a little bit of success and they make a play and they realize, like, man, this is really fun, usually that kind of it just dominoes from there, and they get more into it, more excited, and get better and better.
How important is it to have a player like Saubert come in that has had a long career because of primarily playing special teams to try to sell that to maybe somebody like a Damien Martinez that didn't play much special teams in college and now he's a 7th rounder and hey, this is how you get on the roster. How important is it to have a guy that's kind of a glue guy like that that can help influence younger players like that?
Yeah, I think in general, just on your whole team, it's a valuable thing to have veteran presence that have a great message to share and want to share it, and it's coming from the right place. And we have a ton of those guys, offense, defense, and special teams. They're there and they're available and they're offering up their wisdom to the young guys, and it's the kind of thing everyone can probably relate to when you were a kid, or if you have kids and you know what's best for them, and you can see around the corner and you're trying to tell them. And sometimes guys have to figure it out the hard way, right? We've all been there before. But it's invaluable to have those people that can kind of show you the ropes and be a positive example for the younger guys. And yeah, Saubert and the other guys, we have a bunch of guys like that. Even we have a lot of younger guys that fit into that role that you wouldn't expect, like Charbonnet. He'd be one of the better special teams players in the league if that's what his role was. Guys like Julian Love, he played a bunch for us last year, and Kobe, and guys who are starters or fringe starters that have a good background in teams. So we have no shortage of that type of leadership, which is really neat.
Damien Martinez, they didn't tell us draft night he didn't play special teams at all. Miami, Oregon State, viable options that he
You said what kind of viable option, like in terms of
line returns, or is he an option in that regard?
so kind of going back to one of the initial questions, like right now, you're evaluating, you're developing, you don't know exactly what the roster will look like. So I would say the best approach is to get as many guys ready to contribute as they can. And to your point on him, it's an example of he has a great skill set. There's a reason why he's in the NFL, and he's an talented running back and all that stuff, and has a lot of great tape. And his challenge will be, okay, now you got to get better at this other thing that you haven't done. And great, just buy into it, work hard, listen to the older guys, make mistakes, you screw it up, you get better, and you just stack up that over and over, and eventually he'll be able to contribute. And he's not the only one that's like that. There's tons of our young guys that are in that boat that need to get better and better, and we're just trying to get everyone in the very best possible just readiness to be able to play for us. And that's going to benefit them, whether it's here or eventually on another team, whatever it might be. At this point, not really. You don't have the luxury of being able to know in my shoes exactly how it's going to shake out. So it's like, we just want everyone to get as good as possible.
Jay, who on your team best embodies what you want out of a special teams player?
I love that that's a hard answer. I really do. I would say Brady Russell would be the one, but there's a bunch of guys that come into my mind. The guys, Brady and Bobo, and guys like Derek and D'Anthony Bell, Drake Thomas, Josh Ross. I mean, there's a lot of people. Mike Morris, Nehemiah Pritchett. Towards the end of the year when he was playing more, he was playing awesome. There's a ton of people, and that's what you want, right? It's like there might be a guy who's kind of the flag bearer or whatever. Brady literally is the flag bearer, but where it's like, dude, everyone understands what the standard is. We're working to live up to it all the time, and we're going in that direction, I believe.
How's the snapper?
You said how's the snapper?
Brady, how's he as a snapper?
Oh, he's pretty good. Yeah, he's actually pretty good. All good. Appreciate you guys. Yeah, thanks for coming out.